Hello, everybody. Everybody, hello. How are you guys doing today? Let's see. Cool. We have a good amount of copies to critique today. Let's see. We got like 3, 6, 9, 12-ish. So we got a lot to get through. So I'm just going to jump into it pretty quickly. But let's give it a minute or two for people to hop in. What's up, No? Yeah, how's you guys' week been? You guys have questions, comments, concerns, curiosities? Just while we're getting the stream set up. Cool. You landed a coaching client and have been making progress on your cut. Awesome, dude. What kind of coaching is it? Answer. Yeah. All right, so let's just go ahead. What does the channel gain when helping others? I would personally gatekeep said information. This is a really good question. And one that I could answer on a lot of different levels. I think for us, as people who have been working in this area for a long time, seeing copywriting blow up as this thing that's like, oh my God, make $1 bazillion in 2 months with no experience, and selling people this dream that we all know is not very real, or at least for not for most people, is something that kind of sucks to see, because we know how far this can take you, but also we know how not far it can take you if you go in with that mindset. And so first answer is like, we just want to do some good in the world. We want to give people information that we know is helpful, but also grounded, because a lot of people out there could do what we do and what you guys are trying to do. And so we want to share that information. We also think that like basic beginner information should not be gate kept behind like paywalls, because it's kind of scummy. And I think most people, or at least a lot of people, have had the experience of like, oh my God, I'm going to pay $50, $100 for this thing. And you get inside and you're like, oh, I could have Googled this. And that kind of sucks. And we don't think that that business model should be like viable. The other thing is like, we do get views on YouTube. We do sell some amount of products. And so there is like a monetary aspect there. I think all of us enjoy starting, growing businesses. And so this has been a fun hobby thing that we started that we've slowly transformed into like a business. And so getting to do that together with people that we enjoy is just a really cool thing to wake up and do every day. So, there's the altruistic answer, and then there's the, selfish personal side of it too. Yes, Tochi, you can succeed as a copywriter from Nigeria. I know people from lots of African countries, but one guy in particular I know, I think is from not Nigeria, but he like literally got started writing copy on his phone. So yes. Cape Town wants to know, hey there, what would you do if you were to start copywriting from beginning? And what would your approach on learning, building portfolio and getting your first client be? Hold on one second, because I actually have the perfect answer for you. It's so good. Hold please. Just 1 second. 1 second. The first and only thing that I would do if I were in your situation is to go watch our 22-hour mega course on copywriting, because it answers every single one of those questions, from what we would do for starting over, to what we would focus on learning, to how we would build a portfolio, and how we would go about getting our first clients. It is all right there. I could, of course, like go into a lot of detail and answer your question right now, but we literally put out a free 22-hour video explaining this. So just please go watch that. And if you're not good at writing, get good at writing because you can do it. Coco, if you're in the Discord channel as well as Patreon where you submit your copy, you should have access to a section of channels called Platinum for members. In there is a sub channel that is called Whetstone Critiques where you can submit copy. If you don't have access to those channels, just message me, Sean, Alex on Discord, and we'll help you out. We will not take that down. We've spent far too much money making that to take that down. Rod, do you think that being underage could affect one's career? Definitely. I think in most countries we have labor laws, and so it is a little bit harder to hire people who are underage. One. Two, there is maybe some perception that you don't have experience because you're 16 or whatever you are, and that might be true. It might not be true. And so that may be an obstacle you have to overcome. But one, you will get older, unfortunately. And two, you can still get experience. You can still have like a great portfolio to share with people that can overcome those obstacles or those objections. So it will not get in your way forever. If you were to make Facebook ads for veterinary, would you isolate a medical service? For example, a Facebook ad for vaccines only instead of advertising the whole animal hospital? It's an interesting question. You could go both ways with this. On one hand, there are people who are just looking for veterinary services for their pets. Say you move, you might want to get your pet registered with a new veterinarian. One, that's a thing. Two, people who get puppies or just new animals or their animals get to a certain age are going to need vaccines. And so they'll be searching with user intent for vaccines specifically. And so marketing around that would be helpful. So you probably actually want a mix of those things. All right, last two questions, and we're just going to get into the critiques. One question I've been looking for the past few months. I have spare time, but how on earth do I stay consistent? The shitty answer to that is, get consistent by being consistent, which really means that it's all a function of practice. I think everyone's had the experience of starting a new thing and having so much enthusiasm for it, and you do it for 10 days in a row and you're great. And then on day 11, you're just not feeling it. So you skip it once and all of a sudden you find it really hard to do again. As you go on in life and you practice that skill more and more, you'll go from a 10-day streak that you break to a 20-day streak to a 30-day streak. And before you know it, you'll be doing a thing for, months at a time without having to worry about breaking that streak. So I would say stay consistent. Don't kill yourself, or don't punish yourself or, think terribly of yourself if you miss a day or something. Just keep doing the thing and it'll be easier to keep doing it. Great. Okay, sorry. Last couple questions. I'm looking at this. These are pretty good. Best niche to tap into in this competitive age, and what would be the most demanding services nowadays? Because you were the master of this, got me. I am unfortunately personally not the master of this. I would definitely tap Sean or Alex for their expertise here. At the beginning, don't worry about niches. Do literally anything that falls into your plate. When you're starting out, you will not have the luxury of picking through between every single niche to write for. Just take any job you can get to get whatever experience that you can get so that you can leverage that to do other things in the future. Yeah. And what do you think if someone's not a native English speaker and doesn't have good English? Can they still write good copy? What are your views on financial coach niche or anything like that? Yes, you can write copy if you're not a native English speaker. But also, yes, your English writing skills will need to become good enough to sell to people who are native in English. So if you're not good, or you need to get good, but just because you didn't start out as good doesn't mean that you will never be able to access that. Financial coaching niches is fine. On landing pages, when do you choose to use a classical pain point section right beneath or above the fold, especially for lead gen? Because I see a lot of landing pages don't have this. It depends on what your product is. If you're talking about like lots of like service-based things, I think of like SaaS products. I think of like coaching, consulting, maybe less so coaching and consulting, but for SaaS products, for instance, above the fold, click here to get the thing, and then rather than going into pain points, they'll just list like a bunch of basic features or like some key highlights about the product, just for a really quick read of why someone might want it, or if someone's like looking for, hey, I need a CRM service, but I'm looking for specific functionality. Right below the fold is a great place to show all the like functionality that your product has. And so that's the reason that you often don't see people go straight into pain points, because if someone's getting to your landing page, they probably have a very specific user intent. And so the best thing you can do there is go straight into answering what that intent is after that initial above the fold CTA. Okay, thank you. I'll do that. Actually, Coco, just tell me in chat, do you have a piece of copy? And if so, I can add it to the list. And if not, that's fine. I'll take care of it after stream. But if you do, I will like take your thing for the stream. How to find leads for freelance copywriting. Watch our 22-hour video on YouTube. Is speech writing profitable? Not particularly. I think it's interesting. It can get you places if you're interested in doing other things around politics. It can be very useful, but in terms of how lucrative it is, it's mid at best. AI can be a great tool for copy. It's certainly raised the floor. And so like, if you can't write copy better than like some shitty AI, yes, it'll be harder to find jobs. But if you're good at copy or like know how to use AI to your advantage, it can be a great tool for making you much more efficient at what you do. All right, let's actually get into some copy now. Feel free to keep asking questions, but I do kind of need to get started on these. Let me look for your message here real quick, Coco. DM. What's your name on Discord? Okay, cool. All right, so this first piece of copy we have is a headline complex review. For context, these are two headline complexes I wrote to replace a fertility coach's current headlines. The first one is meant for her course sales page. The second is meant for her one-on-one coaching landing page. Okay, great. So for those of you who don't know, a headline complex is like this sort of section you'll see on a sales page. And so it's composed typically of one, your actual main headline, often some eyebrow copy. It's like usually smaller text that goes a little bit above the headline. And then below it, you'll have a sort of like explanation or elaboration on the headline itself. In this case, the eyebrow copy is for women over 40 who want to have babies naturally or through IVF. The headline then is, discover the science-backed holistic strategies I used to have babies at 44 and 46, even after being diagnosed with early menopause at 41. And then the elaboration is, this course gives you and your partner 40 plus proven lessons and step-by-step video breakdowns so you can rewrite your fertility story and create the family you've always dreamed of. Okay. And so one question you might be thinking of is, why have all these stuff? What's the point of having different sizes? Why not just have this all be a paragraph? And the answer is pretty simple. Really, the thing is, you want to highlight your headline, which is, discover the science-backed holistic strategies I used to have babies at 44 and 46, even after being diagnosed with early menopause at 41. This is pretty powerful on its own. However, if you want to call out specific audiences, if you feel like there's a certain additional level of specificity or detail that you want to get in, or if you feel like there is something that you need to say to readers for them to truly appreciate the headline, the eyebrow copy and that sub copy exists to give you the opportunity to do that without having to water down your headline a ton. And so this is a super, super, super common format that you'll see across most sales letters. Thank you, Gaurav. I really appreciate that. And to answer your question, Pedro, is writing for B2B and SaaS different than regular copywriting? You just got to study their products, study the audience, and implement copywriting elements into it. Right. The short answer is no, it's not any different. The longer answer is that it can be a little bit different, just like any niche, where you do need to keep in mind the business realities of in the business context for these types of copy. For B2B, for example, a lot of B2B products are sold to people who are not going to be particularly compelled by traditional persuasion techniques. For example, I work at an ad agency. Every now and then someone will think that I work in media buying and send me an email offering their services. Those emails are far less about, oh my God, I have the best thing ever, and you would be a fool to not do this, and this is this revolutionary technique. Those emails tend to be a little bit more technical, a little bit more keyed in and specific about what they think I do. And so it's a little bit more jargony, a little bit more, little bit more dry, I'll say, and to the point, because everyone knows why they're there. That would not work very well in a Facebook ad or a meta ad, but that context is different, and so the copywriting is different. Technically, that applies to any niche you write in, though, and so I would say to most people, don't really think that it's any different. Just be aware of the context in which you're writing. Okay, back to the headline. So we have this, and then great CTA, ready to conceive, click here, and then we have a quote. With all I learned in this course, I was able to conceive within a few months at age 42, Megan S. So was just a question, just review. Okay, cool. I mean, so this actually works pretty well. Obviously, like the spacing here in the middle is a little bit off. It's kind of huge spacing. The quote, I think, is not the most powerful quote. And I would also put that above the CTA, so people have to read it before you're asking them to click. If you have a stronger quote that's a little bit more emotional, a little bit more about what this person feels now that they've been able to conceive, that would be fantastic. If this is all you have to work with, I think it's fine. I would put quotation marks around it just so it's a little bit clearer that that's what that is. So for women over 40 who want to have babies naturally or through IVF, this is good context. Discover the science-backed holistic strategies that used to have babies at 44 and 46, even after being diagnosed with early menopause at 41. I think that main headline itself is pretty good. I wonder if you could get even more specific, or if there are like better call out words. Like I see what you're doing here with like holistic strategies. Maybe something like, all natural strategies. What are some of the pain points that these women have, and like what are their sort of tendencies? Is it a little bit more spiritual? Is it more about all natural stuff because people are worried about like the chemistry in their body, or they're super aware of it because of how the difficulty getting pregnant? If there are some stronger words here to kind of buff this up, I think that would be good. I think science backed is a good thing to have in here somewhere, just because a lot of people will probably be wary of like snake oil stuff. 1 second. Let me just add this one. Cool. So yeah, I mean, I think this is pretty good. And it's great that you spell out exactly what the product is in the subcopy. So it's giving you these 40 plus lessons and step-by-step breakdowns. I don't know how much I love the word course here. But I'm also not super familiar with the audience. If people are super into fertility like courses, then great. But if people are not looking for courses, I might find a way to reframe this so it feels a little bit softer, gentler, more accessible maybe. But overall, I think the structure and like the way you frame this is great. So for the second one, this is a landing page headline complex. Same target audience. You want to skip all the guesswork of a healthy pregnancy. One-on-one fertility coaching. A healthy pregnancy balance and cultivate fertility boosting lifestyle habits. As your fertility coach, I'll guide you step by step, sift through the options, and be your personal fertility mentor. Secure my spot. And then we finally conceived our baby girl. I couldn't have done it without Rebecca's unwavering support. Great. So I think this one doesn't feel quite as strong to me as the first one. But given that it's on a landing page, probably the person is looking for this. And so being super blunt about it is better than just like missing the mark and being a little bit too flowery. I think you can beat secure my spot as a CTA. Like, I want to work with you. I'm ready to take the step on the next step on my fertility journey. Kind of stuff like that is more of the realm that I would get into. Secure my spot feels like you're kind of nudging people towards urgency, like spaces are limited, which isn't something you're talking about anywhere else. So if that's not something you want to be pushing people on, which I don't think it should be, I would pivot from this. And then some more copy. I know what you're going through. You spend so much time and energy trying to justify why you can't go to the baby shower, why pregnancy announcements trigger you, and why you just can't adopt. You don't feel like you fit in with your friends and family anymore. You're sick of being asked why you don't have children, so you shut yourself off to yourself and the world. And even though you may not be alone, infertility is a lonely journey. That's how it felt for me. When I was on my fertility journey, I needed someone to talk to who knew exactly what I was going through. This is interesting. I think like hitting on these pain points is cool. This feels a little harsh, strong. I might be a little bit gentler in this. The phrase "so you shut yourself off to yourself and the world" is a little bit clunky. I would change like change one of these yourselves off, or change one of these yourselves, because it's the yourself off to yourself is clunky. I do really, really, really like the notion of, even though you may not be alone, infertility is a lonely journey. That's a super, super, super powerful framing, because I think everyone who goes through this knows that they're not alone. They do have people supporting them. They do have people who are sensitive to their situation, and yet they still do feel very isolated. And so this is even the kind of thing where like you could base all of your writing and landing page around like this idea. It's that powerful. And so, for example, I'm not saying you need to do this for this page, but like having something like this, like even though you aren't alone, even though you may not be alone, infertility is a lonely journey. Therefore, one-on-one fertility coaching. Logically, it makes sense, but emotionally, it's like a really powerful experience to pinpoint and to be like, hey, I see you, that you're going through this. And I want to help you because I understand how hard it is. That's like this sort of thing is gold. Now, like if you have a whole bunch of stuff, if the rest of your landing page is centered more around the pragmatic aspect of it, maybe you don't have to pivot off this, but like I would seriously go back and look at everything else you've done and see if there's a way to work this idea in, because this is like really, really fantastic. Great. And the course is $600 plus. Should I still have a CTA above the fold? I think so, because when you clap that CTA button, it should still drive to a place where there's context around it. That's like framing that $600, so that it's not just like, whoa, like buy. It shouldn't go straight to a buy now button. It should go to a page that's like, hey, here's like what it is, or here's like a paragraph first before they see the price. Yeah. 1 second. Let me check something. Okay, great. Sorry. Great. So next piece of copy, we have a Jet Zone sales letter. Jet Zone is a homeopathic product to alleviate jet lag. Oh, great. And so you have a target reader who you've built out a persona for. I love this. Jerry is a 31-year-old traveling salesman whose job allows him to discover new places. The assignments are under a week, where he's a tight schedule to explore, and therefore each day lost from jet lag is a lost opportunity. He's previously tried other products without success. Unfamiliar with Jetzone, he's hopeful but skeptical a solution exists, especially with the barrage of promises made in his social feeds. His next trip is in 4 days and is currently searching reviews on X, Google, Amazon, etc. for something that will work. This is really cool. So for people who have not done this before, I think it's really common for us to build out a sort of like target audience, and we'll list it with like, oh, it's a woman, age 36 to 42, high paying job, whatever, all those like facts and details, 3 kids. Who did this? Let's see. The person who wrote this, who I'm going to give a lot of credit to, is this is a minute ago. Scott. Yeah, so Scott did this. And so Scott has taken this like an extra level and then taken those details and written it in the form of a story. And the really powerful thing you get out of this then is that now you're not just like thinking about details about this person's life. You are then tracking those details through their experience of the situations in which your product is going to help. So it's not just that he's 31 and he's a salesman and that he travels frequently. It's that he enjoys exploring, but he finds himself in a situation where he has a really tight schedule and is unable to live up to the potential that his really cool job allows him to do. And so then it also goes into his skepticism. He's hopeful, but whatever. And so I think this can be a really great exercise for you guys to do when you are thinking about your target audience. Don't just write down, details about them, their demographic, whether or not they have kids. Also go the extra step and think, okay, well, what does their life look like? And then how would my product fit into it? Because that can make your job of actually writing about the product and trying to sell it to them way, way, way easier. All right. So we have pilot with 24 plus years experience reveals bombshell truth. Why all your jet lag cures have a major flaw, and what simple solution thousands of aviators are using instead. One just small thing, make sure that like when you're formatting that it's like pretty. This could all be one line. I think aesthetically it's going to look a lot better. Alternatively, you could break it up into 2 lines, whatever, but it's a small design thing. Excuse me. That ends up making a big difference in terms of how the page is perceived. I will say off the bat, this is a really cool framing where instead of saying like, hey, oh my God, I know jet lag makes your life so hard, whatever, let me solve the problem for you. It's, hey, the people who experience jet lag the most, pilots, deal with this too at a level that you can't imagine. And here's what they do, because that comes with an inbuilt level of authority. So like really, really smart thinking here. Dear traveler, this letter is only for the select few who, 1, should have tried all the old jet lag solutions, sleep aids, medications, and time shift apps, but nothing's worked. 2, are flooded by big pharma's feeds for so-called cures, and now is ever more confused. 3, demands a simple solution that actually works. If the above applies to you, the following message will be of utmost relevance. I'd say this is a little bit too stiff, utmost relevance, but like qualifying your audience here, saying it's only for you if, is a great thing to do off the bat. Look, with all the noise, you may be skeptical and think jet lag is and will always be undefeated. And yet, deep down, you continue dreaming of being freed from its hold. Every day you suffer is a day stolen. Missing those beach days as you're too exhausted to leave the hotel. Fumbling a critical pitch because brain fog has you grasping for words. Skipping that Michelin star dinner with your stomach tied in knots. It's not your fault. The truth is, your solutions have a major flaw. They are all target the same superficial layer controlled by sleep and light, but they neglect the deeper secondary organs controlled by muscle, heart, and bones. In short, they've been using the wrong approach. That's why we created Jetzone. Jetzone is a simple oral compound. Take one an hour before you board, then tailored to the duration of your flight. And the best part, it targets those exact aspects everyone else has missed. Aspects which have eliminated my jet lag and could do the same for you. When in flight, do as the pilots do. Hi, I'm Thomas A. Daniels, an American Airlines pilot with 24 years of experience and over 8.6 million miles flown. I used to dread zigzagging routes, Denver to Tokyo flights, and red-eye departures. The constant time changes almost destroyed my health. It wasn't until I discovered Jetzone before a 7 a.m. landing. Here, I found the energy to tackle a career-defining meeting in the morning, then pulled an afternoon to all-nighter celebration for my brother's wedding. Since then, I've relied on Jetzone and all but erased jet lag. Fatigue? Gone. Irritability? Gone. Insomnia? Gone. You could do the same, Anne. Ditch the grotty head nod photos. No more blurry shots by the Eiffel Tower trying to stay awake. Savor every meal. Relish Gordon Ramsay's beef Wellington in London without your stomach screaming, bleh. Outwit the notorious Turkish ice cream guys. Stay sharp and outsmart the street vendors' playful tricks. For you see, Jetzone essentially primes your clocks. Let me explain. Here, I'll just say this too. Like, honestly, I think you could just delete this entire section right here, like this intro part, and just go straight into the when in flight, do as the pilots do. It transitions really naturally off your headline. It has that inbuilt authority, and it's saying a lot of the same things. Because here, like your major point is that typical jet lag like aids are not targeting the primary systems or the secondary systems responsible for jet lag. And so, but like right here, you go into this again and in much more detail too. So like this is just doing a weaker job of something that you go on to do later. And I think tonally, like this part sounds a lot better. It's much more conversational. It's much more accessible. Yeah. So let me explain. The major flaw revealed. As you already know, jet lag is your body's internal clock thrown off balance. The longer the flight, the worse it gets. What is less known is your body has not one, but many clocks. You see, your body is like a symphony. Every part works in sync. The first clock or master clock, guided by light and sleep, is the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN. It sits by your hypothalamus, a part of the brain, and acts as the conductor. The other clocks are in your organs, heart, liver, stomach, etc. These are the musicians and take their cues from the SCN. Upon landing, the SCN aligns its clock to local time. From here, it tells your organs, sync up to mine. However, there's two distinct delays. The first delay for the SCN to reset, and then a second longer delay for the organs to follow, which takes 3 days or more. During this offbeat state, the body's rhythm falters. Fatigue, insomnia, disorientation, irritability, stomach issues, and headaches ensue. Let me just say, this was like a really, really good description of how jet lag works. Like this analogy is really, really good. It's very, very clear. You've used technical terms that demonstrate that you know what you're talking about. Like shout out to suprachiasmatic nucleus. But then also broken it down in a way that like a 5-year-old can understand, which is really, really quite difficult. But now it's like, and it's also made clear like why other products suck, because presumably they're only targeting one of the clocks. So this is like a super, super clear description that's very, very successful. Didn't this copy get reviewed last week? I don't know because I was not here last week. All right, the big pharma lie. So they tell you the solution is all in the SCN. This synchronizes the first part, but does nothing for the slower, adjusts an important second. And without addressing both, how can your body harmonize on schedule? Jet lag targets what they ignore, the crucial link that connects the two, the conductor and his musicians. Bottom line, Jetzone primes your SCN and organs, speeding clock alignment. Upon landing, your circadian rhythm harmonizes, hormones are balanced, and mood is stabilized. The secret, Jetzone combines 6 ancient remedies, each sourced from plants, minerals, and organic products used for centuries. They align your body's natural rhythm, unlike foreign chemicals that interrupt your organic flow. Hence, Jetzone is a more safe and side effect-free therapy. Each ingredient chosen for a specific symptom relief, each ingredient is chosen for its specific symptom relief. So go back and reread this. This is clunky. All these things that do all these other things. Great. Want further proof? Read on. So blah, 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 developed by this company with experience. We have all these reviews. We have some great quotes. The choice is yours. All right, cool. I think towards the end, it kind of putters out a little bit, but it's kind of normal. But I think like from like this win and flight section through like the big farmer lie, this is great copy. So good job. I think the main thing I'd say is like probably just cut this. Honestly, it's not working that hard for you, and you do a much better job down here. It's super clear. It's super direct. Love this. Good job. We have this page, which is not loading. Oh, wait. See how magic skills copy. Let me see if you type this somewhere. Oh, .pro. Hold. All right, cool. So a short little page. I think it's just selling copywriting services. Let me see if they said, give me context for this. Need my about page to be critiqued. It's for my freelance copywriting website. So about Sean, the guy who this is. So my personal promise to you, I will deliver your content on time. We'll deliver error-free content. We'll be a joy to work with. We'll be flexible and we'll be professional. I will always do my best when working for you and do my best to build and maintain a great professional working relationship with you. Just a little about me. I wanted to become a world famous author that writes books, but I found a much more fulfilling type of writing, copywriting. It's writing emails, website content, all these things that helps businesses generate more leads, sales, customers, and profits. I would absolutely love to help businesses make money through copywriting and marketing. If you're struggling to get more leads, sales, customers, or profits, contact me so I can help you. You can use my contact form below, my email, or call me for more info. All right. I think what I'd say is I think this like story thing you have is like kind of cool. I would definitely like kick this whole section up to the top up here because your personal promise doesn't really mean anything if people don't know what you can do for them. So first things first, I would just like swap these two things around. I think the notion of like, I wanted to become a world famous author, but then I changed my mind is interesting. And so I would get into like, well, why did copywriting suddenly become much more appealing to you? I know for me, copywriting is interesting because it is writing, it's persuasive writing that has the ability to actually generate real world change. And so maybe you want to become a world famous author that wrote books, but you end up stumbling upon copywriting and you're like, holy shit, I can do much more than just entertain people. I can actually change the way they relate to the world. I can change the way that they interact with the world. I can change the products or the solutions that they feel like are accessible to them. And maybe based on that, then it inspired a passion that got you into writing emails, web content, all these other things that you can kind of frame as like a journey that now you have all this experience. And so you're always looking for new businesses and stuff like that and people to partner with to continue that journey and create more change for both businesses and the people whose lives they affect. I think that would be a stronger way of framing this. And then of course you can get into, if you're looking for more sales, leads, customers, profits, or you just want to, have more impact in the world, contact me. I think that ends up being a much more compelling case here. But yeah, I mean, format wise, this is fine. I think like this photo could be oriented better. Would definitely like zoom in, use a higher quality photo if you have one. Or like one of you like in a writing context. Like, I don't know if you have any of like you writing or you like typing or something. If you're going to use this story here, if there's a photo of like you writing, or you looking like you're reading a novel or writing a novel, you could kind of like visually show that journey of you being like, oh, I was writing novels and now I'm writing copy. And so, whatever. Just some ideas. Cool. Next piece of copy. We have a sales letter. We won't read the whole thing. For a free newsletter opt-in page. So this is a sales letter for a guru info seller. The reader is male, 16 to 24, looking for ways to make money online. They typically watch people like Imam Ghazi and is not ethical. They want to get rich by any means possible. Traffic's coming from YouTube channel, content about personal growth and getting rich young. No, the sales letter is pretty long, so feel free to read however much or little you want. Okay. So here's the thing for me in sales pages. I will read until I get bored or I feel like I've spent too much time on this. So, yeah, let's see how far we get. So, how are so many 20-year-olds driving supercars in Miami? I know you've seen the TikToks and Instagram reels. Everywhere you look on social media, someone your age is driving a Lamborghini or Ferrari, living in a penthouse, or wearing designer clothes. And they always have a Rolex. Why are so many kids who can't even legally drink making millions online? I know you've seen those videos and felt pure envy, wishing you had that lifestyle and saying to yourself that you would do anything to get it. Sitting in your room watching YouTube for hours while thousands of people your age party in Dubai or Miami on luxury trips. I know this because I felt the same way for 7 years straight. It feels awful knowing that no matter what you try, making money online seems impossible. Every day I would wake up and hate myself for not being successful. And I'm sure you know this feeling too. But after 7 years of hell, I finally had my first 5K week. See the images below. All right, just one thing off like the rip. You're nailing the tone. You're nailing like all the references and stuff. Thought question, and I genuinely don't know the answer, but up here you're talking about like, this is like lifestyle stuff. Like, of course the money is a thing, but when we talk about these people and what they're doing, it's more than the money. It's what the money affords them. And so when it's not that the people are driving Lamborghini, it's that they're looking cool as shit driving the Lamborghini, and you wish you could look that cool too. And so for this line specifically, I wonder if it might be more effective to say like, why are so many kids who can't even legally drink, like living these $1 million lifestyles, and just kind of pushing more at the lifestyle than about the money. And then maybe down here or lower, talk about, making that money. Is a small thing. Maybe that's a nitpick, but I got that in mind. That was the first thing I thought. Okay. Anyway, a picture of your first $5,000 week. You want to know something crazy? This wasn't just my first time making $5,000 online. It was my first time I made any money online. That's how I knew this chance was huge. Out of nowhere, I started making 5K weeks while only working a few hours each day. Now you might be thinking, didn't you just get lucky one week? And I get that question a lot, and it's a fair one. But here's what happened after that first breakthrough week. The clients kept coming and coming and coming. At the time of writing this letter, I just finished signing 11 new clients on Upwork using a completely fresh account with 0 reviews, 0 history, and 0 connections. Let that sink in for a second. Most people struggle for months to get their first client on Upwork. I landed 11 in a matter of weeks. But it gets better. Several of those clients have already came back with more projects, adding thousands to my income. One was so blown away by what I delivered that she actually sent me a tip, something that freelancers know almost never happens on Upwork. My results aren't just good, they're insane by any standard. If I had been on the platform longer, my earnings and client satisfaction would rank me among the top 1% of top-rated plus freelancers, the level that most people spend years trying to reach. And I achieved all of this without even having a job success score yet. For those who don't use Upwork, This is like walking into the Olympics having never competed before and immediately winning gold. So no, it wasn't luck. It was the power of understanding something that almost no one else does. And today, I want to tell you the secret that took me 7 years to learn. The 20-year-olds driving supercars in Miami aren't rich because they're smarter than you. They're not rich because they work harder, and they didn't just get lucky. They're rich because they know how to use technology better than older people. Think about it. When was the last time you had to learn how to use a smartphone or learn how to browse Instagram? I bet you picked up how to use new apps and websites without even trying. It just came naturally to you. But as easy as it is for you to learn, it's almost impossible for people over 35 to understand new technology. I feel personally called out for that. I would kick this higher. Just like being like truthful about it. Like I'm not 35, but like I work with lots of people in their like mid, late 30s, early 40s. Like it's people understand new technology. That's your one big advantage in business as a young person. You know how to use technology and they don't. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that business is just a competition. Companies that make the most money do one thing well. They solve problems better or faster than anyone else. Trust me, you won't get rich trying to build the next Facebook, and you won't get rich drop shipping, but you will make money by starting a normal business and just being the best option. And the only way to do that is by using AI. Let me explain. This is cool so far. I think you tackle a lot of objections here, and I think rhetorically it's progressing well. It is definitely persuasive. I'm just gonna skim the rest and see if there's anything crazy. So my journey. So my name is Jordan, 20-year-old full-time college student. Only thing I'd say here is like, just be mindful of the ages. You've said you spent 7 years, which means you start when you're 13, and probably a 13-year-old trying feels a little bit different. And so if the numbers like don't feel right on a vibes level, if it doesn't feel relatable for someone to start working when they're 13, I might kick this age up a little bit if you still want to claim that level of experience, but that might not be a problem for your target audience. So you've tried everything, done all the stuff they've done. Oh, you called out. Just trying to make money on YouTube in elementary school. I gave up, like you. My life is full of nothing but failure, but I'm glad I never gave up. Now I'm living this fancy lifestyle. If you take one thing from this letter, is that you should never give up on your dream, because although you will be miserable for a while, one day you'll wake up. So like you've gone from like, hey, I have this relatable story. Yes, everything was failure, but not giving up was really good, because now I'm living the dream. And so even though like you're just calling out, even though things might be hard for a while, you'll realize that this is all worth it if you lean in. So this is great stuff. You're kind of like revealing some of the things that you're going to tell them. Here's a harsh truth that you're going to respect me for telling you. This is a cool line depending on how you frame this out. So let's read through this. So let's start with where most people go wrong. You will never get rich. What? How can I make such a silly statement? Of course you will get rich. After all, the guy on TikTok said that if you buy his course, he will show you how to make millions per month online. Well, doesn't that sound nice? The truth is, business is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a very hard and very painful road. But you can get rich young if you know what you're doing. I won't sit here and lie to you. There will be lots of hard work involved, but it doesn't have to be 7 years of pain like I went through. Before I discovered what I'm about to share with you, I was working 120-hour weeks trying every method out there with zero results. There are only 168 hours in a week. 168 minus 120, is 48. 48 divided by 7, 6.5. 6.8. So you're saying that this person was working, was like slept for a little bit less than 7 hours a night and was working literally every waking hour of the day. This number might be too big. I guarantee that this person, I would lower this a little bit just for believability's sake, because that's kind of wild. Now I'm making a bunch of money. And here the secret is AI, great. Generational tech gap. And then, so the difference between you and the old people is the tech gap. And that gap means money for you. We love that. And that opportunity is going to be available in tons of places. And so here, I'm actually going to give you something for free. I'm going to kill some objections. And here's the product. Okay, cool. Yeah, so like unethical business model, whatever aside, I think this is pretty effective copy. I think the story you tell is great. You do a bunch of really good persuasive appeals. And you're definitely hitting on all of the sort of like tonal notes and like what cultural like vibes references that your target audience is going to want. Some of like the numbers I would tone down a little bit, like especially around like working 120 hours a week or whatever, because some people might call bullshit. And I think you get a lot of that same rhetorical value even by, being a little bit less hyperbolic. But yeah, this is good copy. Exactly. Oops. All right, great. You guys can still see me. All right, next one. We got some sneaker copy. 3 Facebook ads. Audience is 25-plus-year-old women into sustainable fashion and has an active lifestyle. And the purpose is to persuade the reader to respond and buy a pair of these shoes. Okay, 1 second. Sorry, I had like a rock in my shoe. All right, so number 1. Subscribe now to our newsletter and save $20 on women's tree runners. Okay. I guess also maybe should just say this up top. So rule of 1, for any piece of copy that you write, there should be one thing that you want to happen. So for example, if you're writing email, what you should want is for someone to click the link in your email, not click the link, read the sales letter, and then buy the shoes. For a Facebook ad, what the person can do there is pretty much just engage with the post. So like the post, comment on the post, click a link in the post, share the post, whatever. Those are basically your options. Maybe more sophisticated ones, like on Instagram, you might be able to have like a buy now button for a particular product. Regardless, it should be one thing. So your purpose should not be to persuade the reader to respond and buy a pair of these shoes. It should just be get someone to buy the shoes or get someone to click the link to go to the store page and buy, where they might then buy the shoes. Adding too many objectives or purposes into your copy is going to make your copy try to do too many things at once. It's going to make it less effective. And the reality is that if they're going to click the link, it's going to take them to another page with more copy that then can do the job of getting them to take the next option, whether that's, clicking one more time or buying or whatever. So take some of the pressure off of this copy and just focus on getting them to click to your sales page or whatever it is. Great. So number 1 is subscribe now to our newsletter and save $20 on these shoes. So when I read this tells me that everything I'm about to read should be getting someone towards signing up for your newsletter. So free shipping included, act fast, sales ends July 31st, limited supplies available. It's true for $78, the soft tree upper will bring out your toes. Now, would you rather walk with sweaty feet in disappointing sneakers that fall apart in 4 months, or keep your feet cool and comfortable through the next 4 summers? It's a simple choice. Here's why 9,501 confident women boldly rock this Allbirds classic. So you got the soft patented tree upper The soft patented tree upper hugs the foot with all day comfort while walking and standing in hot weather. Air passes freely through tiny holes in the breathable mesh, eliminating sweaty feet. Sweet foam midsole provides cushion support for up to 10-mile walks on dry surfaces. It's really light. It's stylish, machine washable. Plus, like unlike other sneakers, you can wear them comfortably without socks, free from irritation, 0 blisters. Unsure about fit? If you have wide feet or wear in between sizes, then size up. For narrow feet, we suggest you go with your usual sneaker size. Return exchanges are fast and easy. Within 30 days of delivery, you may return or exchange unworn or unwashed items. Please visit the return portal. Okay, great. So this is kind of what I'm talking about when like you're trying to do too many things. Because first it's like, get this discount by subscribing to our newsletter. Then it's like, okay, but also we're having a sale, so come buy this thing like before it goes out. And then you're getting into these like details about like returns and stuff. The way I think about this is you are having a sale. This is a special event. That should be argument in and of itself for someone to buy. And so if your mode of thinking is, hey, we're giving out a really good deal, we want people to buy it, you should not be sending people to your newsletter. You should be sending them to your sales page where they can then buy your product that is being sold on a really, really great detail. If you're going to send them to your product page, it's going to have lots of information on there about stuff like your return exchange policy, about things like how the shoe fits and if people should size up or not, which means that if that information is going to be accessible, if someone decides that they're interested enough to consider buying, really the only job that this copy needs to do at the point at which someone's seeing it on Facebook or Instagram is get them to the point where they might be interested in buying, which means that like the important part is like this. And so if you're like, oh shit, here's a $78 shoe that's like crazy discount, it's gonna like be this great summer vibe. You're not gonna have like sweaty toes while you walk around trying to impress the boys. Like that is a much more single-minded, compelling message than like, okay, think about a newsletter. Okay, free shipping. Okay, toe size, narrow feet, returns, whatever. It also means that like your image has to do much less work, because then all it has to do is be like, okay, picture of someone having fun wearing the shoes. Sale ends this day. You can see the discount. Great. So like that's what I'll say for that. Also, what does a shoe look like? And just for everyone knows, so everyone knows, this is the shoe we're talking about. Cool. Next, number 2. Attention, the women's tree runners are not for running. Has every sneaker you've worn during your long summer walks only disappointed you, I guess? Check this. Your new pair of tree runners will not let you down because the lightweight patented tree upper or knit hugs your foot comfortably for 10-mile walks. Air flows. The durable Brazilian sugarcane sweet foam midsole provides stable, long-lasting arch support on dry surfaces. And again, we're kind of getting into stuff where it's like, you probably don't need this unless like you have people are selecting sizes that they're going to buy off of this creative, which I don't think they will. I do think like in terms of copy, like this is clunky because you're going from, hey, they're not for running. And then you start talking about walking. You almost need another line that's like, we made these to walk or something. And so now there's just like this dedicated walking shoe that's great because of these features. Yeah. So I would just, yeah, that's what I'd say for that. And then cool, angle 3. Are they really the most comfortable summer sneaker? Like, I would say something off of like, oh, actually, for like just generic Facebook copy, like you can get away with this. And I think it is kind of normal, like from a user perspective. Like I've skimmed ads like this before. It's fine. If we're talking about like how persuasive the copy is, then like it's not the most. But like would this like sell some stuff? Probably, because really what you're trying to do is just draw attention to it. But if that's the case, it'd be like the women's street runners really are the most comfortable summer sneaker. Just delete the question and just make the statement. And then kind of like ride off the vibe. But yeah, cool. Next piece of copy. Facebook ad for handmade soap. We have someone struggling with dry, itchy, irritated skin, even after trying countless handmade or natural soaps. Solution aware. They care a lot. They care about the environment. Yeah, so someone who wants nice skin but doesn't want to fuck the environment. Bet. So the real secret, the idea is that the real secret lies in glycerin. But most brands don't use it to cut costs. And in order to make use of the glycerin, they create the soap in a traditional manner. And so there's no harsh chemicals. The offer, you got the soap and lots of smells with lots of the chemical. And the action is click below to get to the product page and pick from Variety Sense. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I guess we can just contrast with like the sort of setup of the last one where the action here is just click from the Facebook ad to get to the product page, not get them to buy. So primary text. Okay, cool. So we have the text on the ad. You've tried handmade soaps, but your skin is still dry, still itchy, still irritated. That's because most soaps, even the natural ones, leave out the one ingredient your skin actually needs to stay hydrated, glycerin. Glycerin draws moisture into your skin and locks it in, leaving it soft, soothed, and smooth. We preserve glycerin in its purest form using traditional, slow, low-temperature methods, no harsh chemicals, no shortcuts. We got all this stuff, so it's ethically sourced, no palm oil, no synthetic additives, just real skin-loving moisture. Click to choose your scent and finally get lasting relief. And so there's a video with this. Still dealing with dry, itchy skin even after trying dozens of handmade soaps? Here is the secret reason most soap makers don't want you to know. Many natural handmade soaps leave out the one ingredient your skin desperately needs, glycerin. Glycerin naturally attracts water into the skin and locks in moisture, keeping it soft, smooth, and hydrated. In fact, one clinical study published in the British Journal of Dermatology, great cred, showed that glycerin can significantly help improve skin hydration and reduce itching in just 10 days. But even when some soaps do include glycerin, the harsh truth is this. Many brands ruin it by cutting corners in production or using artificial, irritating ingredients you can't even pronounce. Not us. We never take shortcuts when it comes to your skin needs. That's why we like to show you a brand new moisturizing soap formula. As Austria's leading natural soap maker, we gently blend ethically sourced olive, coconut, almond, and castor oils at low temperatures using traditional methods. This proven process preserves glycerin in its most effective form, so you can finally kiss dry, itchy skin goodbye. No palm oil, no harmful chemicals, no allergies. Just pure local-made soap that's kind to any type of skin and to the planet. This soap already makes a difference in many people's lives. I'd say is already making a difference. So everywhere my hands would crack. Not anymore. I have eczema and can't use most soaps, but I can use this one. This one feels different. It feels like it's feeding my skin, not just cleaning it. The texture, the smell, how soft it leaves my skin, it's unlike anything I've ever tried, and no more itching. How much does it cost? Here's the best part. We skip the fancy packaging, avoid influencer hype, and sell directly. No middlemen, no vanity markups. That means you get premium, skin-loving soap at a price that's actually fair. Click below to pick your scent and start getting rid of dry, itchy skin. Cool. Yeah, this is good. You're like very clear in your concept. I think it's pretty persuasive. You're touching on like the environmental notes. You do a good job of like bringing up actual like credibility to support your argument. I test it. You are welcome, Matt. Yeah. So next one. Hi, hello, Rod. My name is Ellie. Hi, Ellie. Here's a squeeze page I would like critiqued. Context, this is a wireframe. Cool. For a web designer who specializes in creating websites for coaches and creatives. These are just filler images, FPO. Love it. It's a squeeze page for a free email course teaching coaches and creatives who are afraid of branding in general. True. How to create a polished online presence that accurately represents them and won't make them feel trapped by their niche. The traffic will likely come from the designer's LinkedIn and Instagram. Cool. Just if you want. Yeah. So if you want like the in-industry term for this image, whenever you are putting an image in as a placeholder, you might say it's FPO, which means for placement only. And it's a great term to use if you work with designers often, because they'll be like, oh, they speak my language. Cool. So, authentic brand guide. Stand out online without feeling boxed in. Build a professional online presence that feels like you without limiting your passions or potential clients. This free 3-day email series shows you how. Button, CTA, we love it. Testimonial. Someone saying this thing. You'll walk away with a strong brand framework that evolves with you. No need to play small. Simple, effective methods to attract right fit clients, even if a little visibility triggers big feelings. Confidence to share your work without obsessing over every post. Bye-bye imposter syndrome. Fresh inspiration to launch or relaunch your coaching or creative website. Another testimonial. Here's what you'll get every day. Each day. The number one mistake that keeps coaches and creatives invisible online. And no, it's not about design. The 3-part secret to a brand that feels like you and fills your calendar. The surprisingly low-key way to make your website a client magnet. And bonus day 4, 7 handpicked resources to get you unstuck and radiating confidence at any age. So we got another testimonial. We got introduction. Hi, I'm Marta, part coach, part copywriter, part web designer. I help find the words and visuals to express what you do, and then build an entire online ecosystem that attracts right fit clients. Design is the final step. Before that, we coach, we write, then we brand. We'll dive inside to bring your authenticity out. And then magnet. Okay, cool. I might try to get a better name than Authentic Brand Guide. It's fine, but it's not. It feels like something most people could say or come up with. And so I wonder, is there something that's more specific or something that only this designer could say or could call it? Something that just feels a little bit less generic and more memorable. or signals what like the outcome that people want to achieve. Stand out online without feeling boxed in. I would like try to get this down to like 3 lines. It feels weird when you have the kind of like out in design. Okay, testimonials are good. I would definitely bump up the "Hi, I'm Martha" thing to like up here where you have this first testimonial. So it's like, hey, this is like my kind of like promise or what I'm selling you. Then it's like, here's who I am and like the credentials I have to like sell you this promise. If you could like build in like, hey, I've had this much experience working in the industry. I know why this stuff is so hard, and then get into like, that's why I help people do this, and then here's my process for doing it. I think that is going to work a little bit better just in terms of flow. So here's the promise. Here's who I am and why I can sell you that. Here's what you're going to get out of it. Some testimonials. Here's the schedule. More testimonials than this. For the actual testimonial sections, these are taking up a ton of space right now vertically. And so if you can, I would like crunch them a little bit because they shouldn't feel like equal sections to like these actual value areas. So definitely try to do that. Probably reduce testimonials too. It shouldn't be equal testimonials to like actual value sections. If that means that you need to put multiple testimonials in like one sort of section, I think that's fine too. But just make sure the balance feels a little bit better. All right, next we have mindset coaching for young men. Here, I'll come back to you because I see you're writing right now, which is fine. All right, so next we're gonna have the Val here project. Okay, there's a project for a company called Val here. Let me see if I can get some more context for this. This is part of a funnel I created for an apparel store that uses the Viking ages in Norse mythology as an inspiration for their designs. Okay, that's cool. Vikings. So first we have a Facebook ad carousel mockup. The ad's purpose is to increase sales and get people to visit the webpage. All right, cool. So basically, Facebook ad, their images, people can kind of click through them. Apparel and jewelry inspired by Norse mythology. Make sure you spell mythology right. It's a problem. Discover your new favorite piece of clothing and unravel the story behind its unique design. Free shipping through all EU at checkout. Okay. I mean, this copy is fine. It's like very, very functional. Please correct the spelling mythology because that's like a big miss, but it's like fine. I wonder if there's a bigger opportunity here, and this comes purely from just like, what is this brand's perspective? Is it about, sharing mythology, like educating vaguely, like, because then you could kind of get like another sentence or two about like, oh, like dive into the world of like Norse mythology through these like unique designs, whatever. Is it more about like the heritage? And so it's like a Scandinavian country or like a Scandinavian brand. And so they're like, this is our heritage expressed through, this design, whatever. Just insert a little bit more of that just to kind of get a little bit more flavor going. I think at the end of the day, on Facebook, on Instagram, most people engaging with these posts are just seeing something pretty and going through it and then maybe reading the copy afterwards. And so it's not a huge missed opportunity to not have this be super interesting because this is the main pull. But yeah, I would play around with it a little bit and see what works. All right, so next we have a webpage focused more on apparel, but they also sell statues, amulets, ornaments, etc. So I decided to create carousel to promote those as well. So handmade amulets, statues, and ornaments inspired by Norse mythology. Again, spell that correctly. Find out which story suits better with you and pick the perfect companion from a wide variety of gods, goddesses, and figures from the Viking ages. All right. I see. So we can see this. Free shipping. Check out for EU. Cool. I mean, similar thing where like, I think this is fine. It's working, but is there an opportunity to like to go a little bit further? Maybe. Cool. Next post. Squeeze page. So this page pops up the first time people visit the website and offers them a discount if they sign up for the email list. Cool. Welcome. Get 10% off your first purchase. Just enter your email address below. We won't share your personal info. Purely functional. Great. I think clarity is the biggest thing with these. And so get 10% off your first purchase is like super, super clear. So you don't need to complicate it. Maybe up here, you could change it to like, welcome to, our Viking family or whatever. That's a bad one. But like, is there a way of welcoming people to something bigger, of nodding towards their interest in mythology, in celebrating this heritage and this history? Minor thing. I don't think it's a big deal for this. If someone's already on your website, they're either interested in buying something and will take the discount, or they're just browsing casually and will not care no matter how good the copy is. Cool. So now we have a welcome email. And this is what people are going to get after they sign up to get that discount. Hey, welcome to Val here. 10% off discount code waiting for you inside. Great. We got an image. Welcome. We tell stories to our designs, all of them inspired by Norse mythology and the Viking ages. Use the code below for 10% off your first purchase and discover the story behind your favorite design. Great. Like this section, super clear, to the point. It tells your story. It tells you what you want people to get out of your product. It very quickly gives them the discount. Fantastic. What to expect from us. Unique designs inspired by Norse mythology. So you're showing the stuff. So you're saying it, and then you're kind of juxtaposing with an image. Handcrafted jewelry, phone cases, chessboard stickers. Great. Any questions? Cool. Yeah. This is good. And I'll also say, like, I appreciate the thought you've put into all of this. You didn't just make ads. You're actually like thinking about, what is the ad driving to? What existing assets or things is my client selling that we could also sell on social? And so, a lot of people would do this. Not a lot of people would be like, okay, but they also sell this. And so let's see what that would look like. Let's think about that little like squeeze moment on their website. Let's think about that copy, and then what happens on the other side of that copy in the inbox. I think it's really good to think about your client's assets like this and how they all flow from one into another, and the continuity between them that you're responsible for as the copywriter. So great stuff. Obviously, like, these executions are a little bit more simple because of just the context in which they exist, but I think you've done a good job. All right, how you doing? All right, we'll give you some more time. We'll save you to the end. Kermit the Frog says, "What's up, Rod? Just watched an hour of the 22-hour course. Honestly, I don't think I've ever sat still that long without getting distracted. I'll come back tomorrow to it and watch 2 hours and slowly increase." Honestly, the fact that you sat through it for an hour and didn't feel distracted is the biggest compliment you could give anyone who's made a YouTube video. Like, I think average watch time on a lot of videos is like 7 minutes. And so 60 minutes is a ton. So I'm glad that you enjoyed it and found it engaging, and, take it at your own pace. You don't need to watch the whole thing this week. But if you find yourself so compelled, like, very happy. Feel free to ask questions, whatever, in Discord. Also never knew you could speak Japanese. はい。日本語話せますけど、日常的にはあんまり使わないから、話すのはちょっと慣れてないっていうか、 Yeah. Anyway, next piece of copy we have is, it says postnatal care and pregnancy treatment for happy moms, but let me see if there's like actual context. Yes. So someone said they're writing for an Ayurveda clinic who's developing a website. Prasava Raksha is a local term for Ayurvedic postnatal treatment for mothers. Would love to get feedback on the headline and text above the fold and the rest of the text and brand stuff on the homepage. Cool. So we got. So just first thing off the jump that I've just noticed is that it feels kind of dense in terms of text. And so one answer to that is like, can we have less text? The other is just a design thing. The spacing on this font right now is like quite large. And so if you notice the gap between here and here, even like these lines is pretty big, which means that you're stretching more vertically, which means that like you have smaller margins. I don't know what these arrows are driving to, but like, let's say you only have this thing, or if it's like just scrolling images, I would take the arrows off, let the images scroll naturally, and just then you have more horizontal space too. Similar thing for up here for this this bar, the navigation bar, where like, does it actually work? It does work. Okay, cool. If you can condense that vertically too, that's great. This sort of like CTA bar, I think it's fine to have bigger because you do want people to attend to it. But because the navigation bar is purely like a convenience thing and isn't directly going to be selling stuff or driving towards things that you super want people going to, I would feel comfortable making that a little bit smaller and then just kind of cleaning up this text in the middle. Okay, but let's read it. So we have Prasava Raksha packages in Kalambalam, Trivandrum, and Kollam. So cool, you're calling out the specific places in which your product is available. Great. Postnatal care and pregnancy treatment for happy moms. Holistic-based solutions to restore balance, wellness, and nurture your motherhood through a qualified team of doctors and therapists combining 6+ years experience. I honestly would not list this experience thing just because 6 is not a lot of years between multiple people. Just think about it like if there's 2 of us with 6 years of combined experience, it means both of us have been doing it for 3 years, which is not a very long time for doctors. And if it's really an entire team, and so we're talking about 6 people, well, then it's like everyone has 1 year experience, which does not feel like super great. So I would just cut that completely. And just let it end at like qualified team of doctors and therapists. So then we have message, or you can call. So we got great for options. In terms of like phrasing, headline and stuff, I think this is very clear, which is great. You're saying where it is. You're saying what it is. It's good. I don't know enough about this niche to know like what specifically people are looking for or how persuasive you need to be. Is this something that people in these places are just like seeking out naturally? It's considered a part of, your postnatal recovery, or is it more of like a niche thing where most people aren't seeking it out? In the US, if you were to sell this, like I think it would be more niche. And so you couldn't just call it out. You would need to speak more to the benefit because Ayurveda is not something that most people have any awareness of. But if these places are in India or Pakistan, then it could be the case that you could just say, hey, this is what it is. Come get it. And that could be good enough. So about us. Kerala's most Prasava Raksha focused Ayurveda center. Started Savrita Chalanam for postpartum care, depression, mood swings, and other problems. Personalized at home treatment for Prasava Raksha. Qualified team of Ayurveda doctors and therapists. Cool. Other services. If this is okay, this is like a really, really funny English thing. So I think the word you want here is prenatal care is what we say in like American English. Here you said antenatal care. Now, you're confusing two words. So you have anti and you have anti. Anti with an I means like opposite or like against. So when you say antenatal care, it's like care for people who are trying to prevent natality, as in like you're trying to like kill the baby. So like I would like antenatal care might be like birth control. So if you're advertising antenatal care to people who are presumably pregnant, that's not good, because they probably want to stay pregnant, and so antenatal care is the last thing that they want. However, anti with an E means pre or before. And so if you were to say antenatal care with an E, okay, prenatal, before the birth care, that makes sense. Now, like in American English, at least, we say prenatal care. And so we don't stumble upon this like this very often, but yeah, let's see. Do people actually say antenatal care? Okay. It looks like some places like UK maybe say antenatal care. And so if it's the case that you do say that in India or wherever you are, just make sure this is spelled with an E, because spelling this with an I is like really, 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 really bad for your target audience. So don't mess that up. So antenatal care, postnatal care, great. Pre-bridal care, cool. Love it. Go to all services, great. So for more information, wall of love, all this stuff is great. Frequently asked questions, what's the package, when do you start, how long does it last, at-home consultation. This is great. It's great. Very to the point, very direct. You know where it is. You know how to get in contact, learn more. You know what services are available, which will help with like your SEO and stuff too. If there are like more specific things or search terms that you know people are looking for, this type of area, or some of these like body sections, not body sections, but like some of these sections where you're doing more writing, could be an opportunity to insert them to, you know, help discoverability. But I think on the whole, this is a good page. And like the worst part about this is just how busy this section feels. But that's really more of a design thing than it is a copy thing. So good job. It's question. Oops. How does one consistently find good angles, especially in the health niche, in saturated niches? This is a tough question. I think there isn't one answer. I'm just aware of what page now we're stuck on. There isn't one answer to how to find good angles. It really is a personal thing. How do you find inspiration? With that said, there are ways of practicing this. I think reading widely, being aware of lots of different things in the world, can help you more easily form connections between things. So for example, what's a good example of this? If you, let's like use that Viking example from earlier for like clothing. When we were talking about that, I kind of asked the question, okay, is this more about we think Vikings are badass, or is this about the sort of history or heritage of people from this part of the world? Is this about like mythology? And so just having awareness about the topic, where it's like there's these three very specific ways we could run at this, automatically are giving you different angles for how to frame that product. Because we could be like, oh yeah, badass Vikings were pillaging shit, and I'm gonna have muscle shirts. Or it could be, yeah, this is our Scandinavian heritage, and we're super proud of it, and this is how we carry that forward into the future. And so it's like Norse mythology, Viking inspired designs for everyday wear. Or it's the, you know, Norse gods, Odin and shit, raining down fury with the Valkyries. Like, you know, so one, just like knowing a bunch of shit, being curious, leaning into stuff. If it's for a product that you don't know much about, I think really just immersing yourself in that thing can be helpful, because especially when you have not been working in an area for a long time, you're going to go in and you're going to have reactions to what it is that you're seeing, hearing, experiencing. And so, for example, if you are a guy and you've never thought much about fertility stuff, and you are going on to like mom Reddit and reading about people's difficulty getting pregnant, you're going to have some reaction to that. And that shouldn't necessarily be, what you write down first. But if you're like, holy shit, like it must feel really lonely, I had no idea that so many people experience that. Well, when you suddenly get tapped to work on a client on their fertility business, it could be like, okay, well, I remember reading and it really stuck with me, like just how lonely so many of these people felt, and how isolated, and how like I didn't even know that story. How many other people don't know that story? Okay, well, let's talk about this issue not from the lens of like efficacy and treatments and like science, but like, man, like this is an experience that really makes so many people feel isolated. So like, let's lean into that as we talk about it. That's one angle. But you could also ask people and find out that like, wow, there's so many like things that people just don't know, or like even women didn't know about how hard it would be to get pregnant. And so then you have an angle of like, not isolation, but just like that, wait, what the fuck? Why is it so hard for me to get pregnant? I thought this was supposed to be easy, and now it's frustrating that it's hard. It's another angle. So I guess broadly, I would say that like, just show up to whatever the topic is that you're working on. Don't just start writing. Get curious if you don't have angles that you think are working, or you do have angles you think are working, but like haven't thought about anything else. Just like get in there and like mess around. Because at the worst, you'll have like a bad, interesting idea, but you can go from a place of like, this is wrong to something right much more easily than a place from like of nothing to this is right. You gotta start somewhere. So just, try some stuff and iterate. Follow-up question was also, when you find new angles, how do you build systems to squeeze as much juice from that angle? Much easier question. So don't think about it in terms of angles. An angle is what we're really saying is a perspective. It is from what place are we looking at this idea, right? So knowing that perspective, that your perspective on an issue is going to give you an idea about what something is, what it means, what it looks like, how it's constituted, right? So once you figure out the perspective you want to take, just think about it as an idea. What is your idea about this product? I have a cell phone, and my perspective on my cell phone is not, it's a thing that lets me call people, but it is a device I carry with me that lets me stay connected to the world wherever I am, which means I'm a lot freer to live my life in all these other moments. That's an idea I have. And so, or that's my perspective on what this phone means. And so we can take that perspective and turn it into a larger idea. A phone is not a connection device. A phone is a device that gives you your freedom to live life on your terms. That's an idea. And once you have that idea up here, we can then kind of have sub ideas that flow out of that. For a sales page or something, you could frame it as like how to have your freedom in the world, or this device is going to give you like let you live life on your terms. For in like another context, it could be like maybe a particular cell service has more connectivity or more service broadly across the country, and so like if you just say you're traveling in rural Utah and most people don't have cell service, if you do have cell service, that means that you'll be able to explore. That means you'll be able to like not stay in your hotel room working throughout the day, because you can be certain that you will have connectivity. From this big idea, we can then apply it to certain situations that we think our product is relevant in. And then that gives you like all the sort of like subcomponents. But above all of that is like a core idea about what your product means, why it's important, why it matters, all that kind of stuff. But it starts with, what is your perspective on what this product is? And the cool thing is that I think naturally most brands, even smaller ones, have those perspectives. Like what was it? We had a product earlier that we were reviewing copy for, where it was the jet lag thing, where it was like, okay, most jet lag medications are only treating this one thing, but really there's two things. And so we're the brand that has a more holistic view of what treating jet lag looks like. That's an idea. This piece fits the stream name. We'll get into that in a second. Alan says, thanks for the feedback. You're welcome. I thought about introducing more info about Vikings, but wasn't sure about it because it seems the main focus of the store is clothing and jewelry. Yeah, and I think that's always a balance too. There are lots of places you could take that idea, but at the end of the day, you also need buy-in from the company. And so if their idea is different or they haven't really thought about it, you don't really need to lean in super hard. And I think your copy worked as it is. So my thoughts are more like, if you wanted to take this deeper, there are a bunch of ways for you to do that. Cool. Now let's get back to whatever the hell this is. What is this? Okay. So sample landing page context. This is a landing page for chocolates that enhance sex, relaxation, or partying. The existing landing page has testimonials, good info about ingredients, social proof, and the catalog of the chocolates. Not sure where else I can make major improvements. Okay. Okay, cool. Sex, party, relax like never before. I love this as a headline. I'm not gonna lie. This is like, it's very, very clear. You like these things. You want to do more of them. We're here to help you do them better. I'm sold. Sign me up now. Our tasty and creamy chocolates will make your next sexual encounter, night out with the girls, or wind down routine unforgettable. Dive into tabs and explore a whole new world of sensations. CTA, tell me more. You can absolutely beat the CTA. Like, you can't. Like, I need who wrote this shit? Hold, please. We have to call this person out. Kevin, I'm calling you out directly. You could not write this headline and then have the CTA be tell me more. If your partner or someone walked up to you and was like, do you want to like have sex, party, and relax like never before? Do you want to have an unforgettable experience tomorrow? Your response would not be tell me more. It'd be like, give me that shit right now. It'd be like, I signed up yesterday. Vibe wise, this absolutely has to be. You have to bring this up. And I know that you could, if you wrote this headline, I know that you can do this. So just make this better in any direction. You had a note to yourself. This could be friends because clearly it's marketed to both sexes. I feel like it hits harder this way, but we can change it. That's an interesting question. Let's see what their website looks like. You deserve more. It seems like it mostly is women. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of products are like you could sell to both, any number of sexes or they're both sexes, but it's okay to be aware that your most of your audience is female, even if it could be theoretically like male too. I think night out with the girls is like a very, like when you say that, I think of a very specific type of vibe. And so I think like as a phrase, this is completely fine. So I wouldn't necessarily change this, but if your client were to push back, like, oh, actually, it's both, then I think it would be, you would not lose a ton by changing it. So I'd say lean towards specific and then dumb it down if you need to. Safe, natural, awesome. No pharmaceuticals, no nonsense, just pure natural ingredients. That's all you need to heighten your experiences. Whether you want to enhance sex with your partner, relaxing at home, or partying with friends, our chocolates are safe, natural, and guaranteed to make every experience better. Shop tabs. This is a landing page. How it works. The natural ingredients and tabs stimulate bodily functions to elevate your mood, sensitivity, and sex drive. Want sex to feel more arousing and sensual? Tired when you go out with friends at night? Have trouble winding down after a long day? Have a tab and feel every moment like never before. Here are a few things you should know before trying your first tab. They're safe. Concern 30 minutes. They last 3 hours. These aren't drugs. No hangover. As much as possible. Get your tabs down. Cool. The one kind of critique I'm going to have about this broadly is that this is very repetitive. You'll notice as you go through this that you hit the same beats over and over. So we're going to make sex better. We're going to hang out. We're have more fun with our friends. And we're going to wind down. So you say that here. So literally, you say it here. You say it here. Sex, relaxing, partying. You say here. Sex, partying, relaxing. And I guess it's short copy, but it's the fact that you repeat it over and over and over. You got to mix it up a little bit. Whether it's just describing things like specific situations, pushing against alternatives. And so like, instead of like getting drunk and having a nasty hangover, wouldn't you rather just vibe with your friends while you're out and not worry about it? That's what we would lead it to. Excuse me. The other thing is, it's crazy. I think about tone a little bit too. So their brand seems kind of irreverent. Not irreverent. I'd say hedonistic is a good word. So you deserve more. You deserve to feel good. We craft supplements to heighten your experiences. Dive in. Like this is a very like you deserve to feel good kind of thing. Feeling good is good. So welcome to a world where just okay is never okay. No mumbo jumbo, no pharmaceuticals, just pure natural ingredients that give you an edge. So it's sex chocolate, turn up, achieve peace of mind. Like you look at like their testimonials or like I guess stuff that like they're playing out in the world. Like it's very just like lean into the feeling. And so there probably is an opportunity in here to go a little bit harder. It's not just like want to feel sex to feel more arousing and sensual. It's like you deserve for sex to feel more arousing and sensual. So how can you take that sort of like brand voice that that they have and use that to make your copy even sharper? That's like a big thing here. And I think that actually just generally, this is a thing that a lot of newer copywriters struggle with, where we're so used to selling that we're like, okay, what's my argument? What's the point? What's the thing I have to say? And the truth is that a lot of the time, it's not about what you say. It's about how you say it. It's about the vibe that you're giving off to people. So for a brand like this, for copy like this, where yeah, you got to sell the product, but also you have to like sell the dream, sell the experience. The way in which you say that is actually more important than what it is you're saying. So these guys are like very clearly comfortable in like their product and what it is they have to say. And so just lean into this. You deserve it all. Sometimes being greedy is okay, especially when it's about your mood. More emotions, more vibes, more everything. Life's purpose, enjoy it fully, no compromises. Like if you can, like if they're saying this, like all of this needs to be much more like not do you want it, but like you should have it. So like, that's the one thing I'll say about this copy. All right, so we got, oh, this is from new person. Hold please. This is from Coco. Cool. CryptPad. So this is just a simple practice prompt that I found when I was intrigued by. I do listen to Justin Bieber's music. So I feel like I have an idea on some copy that would work for his fans. So prompt, Justin Bieber is launching his own branded bidet. Write an email to announce to his fan base. Bonus, give it a name and a slogan. This is going to be ridiculous, but I love this. Introducing Bidru, the bidet by Justin Bieber. Bizzle out your poo with a clean conscience. With clean consciousness. The iconic duo of Justin and Jaden is back to collaborate once again to launch Bidru. Washing your ass is something that everybody does. But this is supposed to be done in a way that stands out in one-of-a-kind, green-conscious, and hygienic way. This isn't just any regular bidet. It's one that is meant to be more thorough and cleaning all while being gentle on your skin. And it ain't just cleaner for your rear end. It's also meant to be cleaner for our planet. The constant havoc that our beautiful Mother Earth has to constantly endure because of toilet paper production. Everything from deforestation, water consumption, chemical use, etc., all to clean out our rear ends. Yet there seems to be no end in sight for hurting Mother Nature. Take the first step to end this havoc on our planet by getting your hands on Bidru, with 10% of the proceeds going towards building back our forests. Limited supplies. Act now to be the first one to be part of this iconic launch. Okay. This is ridiculous. Okay. So what I'd say is like, it's obviously a ridiculous product. The framing is like kind of crazy, but we can work with this. You're having to juggle a bunch of things here. You're having to sell a bidet. You're having to sell, eco-friendliness, and you're trying to do both of those things by leveraging Justin Bieber, his brand identity, whatever. And that's a lot. Just kind of say that up top. I think if you're going to start with Justin, which I think you should, given that this list is about Justin, and so that's like the most relevant thing you can say to his fans. It's like, hey, he's supporting this. Rather than start it off with like, they're here to launch this product, I'd say like Justin and Jaden are collaborating for something bigger than ever. It's bigger than music. It's bigger than like a stage. It's bigger than a track. It's bigger than the stage. Hell, it's bigger than music. It's about your rear end. Or it's about how your ass is killing the planet. There you go. Now we're super hyperbolic. Then you can say, you state the problem. Washing your ass is something that everybody does. But the way you're washing your ass, the way you're cleaning your ass is killing the planet. And then you kind of get to like, this where like, toilet paper is leading, like toilet paper consumption leads to deforestation, water overconsumption, chemical use, blah, 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 blah. That's why Justin and Jaden are just partnered to launch Bidru, a bidet that's, good for your ass and good for Mother Earth. Blah, 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 blah. So I think starting off that way gives you like a much neater framing for it. And it kind of ties through like a reason why that makes sense for all three of those components that we talked about a second ago. I think you're speaking to these issues with like good passion. But I think that's in some places it's a little like it's not connected enough to like the sort of larger like theme of Justin or some of these issues. And I think like, say like sometimes it's like you're trying to be serious and you're trying to be silly, and it ends up feeling neither because you're kind of bouncing back and forth. And it's like bizzle out your poo with clean consciousness is like, that's a tough sentence. Like, I don't want to bizzle out anything with a clean conscience. I don't want to bizzle at all. But if I'm going to bizzle, it's not going to be with clean conscience. It's going to be filthy. And so don't make me think about those things in the same sentence, until you've like told me why or sold me on the concept is what I would say. Yes. You're welcome, Mario. Tammy asks, how does one learn to master compliant copy? I once wrote a VSL for a brain fog product and phrased the problem mechanism as an obesity of the brain vessels. Is that legal? Oh, like, okay. I think what's legal it's gonna vary. Like, his compliance is like compliance is less about like what's legal and like what can you legally justify. And so if you have science framing something as an obesity of the brain vessels, I think saying something a problem is an obesity of the brain vessels is one thing. It's saying there's literally like fat, the brain vessels are fat. That's a very, it's a statement of fact. However, if you say something is like an obesity of the brain vessels, and so you're likening it to that situation, that actually means something quite different. Now, if your specific legal department were like a stickler or like very worried or overly cautious, they might still flag that as inappropriate, but it is a different statement. And so if you had like a study or multiple studies where you had people in peer-reviewed journals saying something is an obesity of the brain vessels, that could be perfectly fine to say. But if you didn't have that exactly, or that's just like a useful way of thinking about it, then you have to get into the, oh, it's like that, or it's similar, it's as if your brain vessels were whatever. And so kind of pulling it apart to just make sure you're not representing it as literal science or as a statement of fact becomes more important. But it really does depend on like what the claim is specifically that you're making. For clarity, what I'm asking is, can you give a medical condition a new name? For example, if your research on thinning hair, can you call that guy? Yeah, you can make up names for things. You can make up names for things. Like I would like put it in scare quotes at first, you know, and you would definitely need to like make sure that you're representing that you're calling it that. And so like, it's a condition that, there's a thinning hair epidemic in menopausal women that's so broad that it's so broad. I've never seen anything like it. You're like speaking from the voice of the guru. I call it gastropause. Saying that you're calling it that is very different than saying scientists are calling it that. So just it's really more of a framing thing than a can you do a thing. You can do most things. You can do lots of things. It's just how you do it that matters. And yes, Coco, sorry, I will add you as soon as the stream is done. I will make sure you're added. Sometimes Patreon will do it automatically. Sometimes it's a little funky, but I will make sure you're added. I just wanted to make sure I critiqued your copy right now, but then I'll manually do it after this if it hasn't connected yet. So don't worry about it. And I'll message you on Discord too, just confirming that that's happened. So you're good. Thank you for your patience. 1 second. Ooh. Cool. Okay, so we got this. And then finally, our last one for today. This is a sales page for mindset coaching for young men looking for a mentor and seeking guidance in life beyond the court. This coach has a basketball skills channel on YouTube and sells digital products for skill development. He receives regular requests for mindset development and mentorship. So this mindset coaching offer is a response to those requests. The main source of traffic are his YouTube videos and email lists. Cool. And so we got this page. Mindset coaching from anywhere in the world. Learn the secrets to increase self-confidence, improve focus, managing pressure, and building mental toughness. This program includes a weekly coaching call and unlimited text and email correspondence. Let's see. Let me just scan this format-wise. Okay, cool. Sign up. So CTA. It's interesting. This is kind of combining a couple things, and I think it feels a little weird because you are kind of you're doing two things halfway. So one, there's like a very stereotypical like above the fold format where this bar goes all the way down here. We kind of have like a big headline, some sub copy, CTA. Over here is an image, could be a plain image, could have some like facts or features of the product on here. That's one thing. Another thing is to kind of have this bar along the top. It's like a quick read, but typically you would not see that with a CTA like this. For this, I think I would rather see like a traditional headline complex that is just like speaking to the issue in a very clear way. So it's like, for the Hooper who is ready to excel in all aspects of their life is your eyebrow copy. Mindset coaching from anywhere in the world. You could probably beat that as a headline. And then below that, learn the secrets to increasing self-confidence, blah, 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 blah. Then you have the CTA, sign up for mindset coaching. Then it's, and then from there, you kind of go into a more stereotypical letter, look what it looks like you're doing here. So hear from young men just like you who've overcome obstacles and strengthened their mindset. Because this guy is not a young man, he looks old, I would like kill this line and just go from like start here. And if this is a YouTube comment, I would honestly like just take a screenshot of the comment and then just paste it here and be like, with this older guy saying, young men can really learn a lot about you, not only about basketball, but also about life. And then this line turns into like, you know, that's why I started this program. You know, I spend most of my time talking about, you know, on-court mindset. But whether you're in school, grinding on the court, or navigating what's next, it is so important for young men like you to build the mindset required to thrive through discipline, clarity, and self-leadership. And so just kind of like go from like kind of explain why this is all happening, because I imagine that YouTube, if most of this traffic is coming from YouTube, people will be like, oh, that's a comment on his channel that I see. Okay. He's acknowledging the comment. He sees his audience. He listens to his audience. He listens to people like me. That's great. And then he made this for people like me. Then it's, you don't have to figure it out alone. Here's exactly what we'll work on together. All this stuff, how we will work, detailing the coaching, what you gain from working on me. Definitely make these green. Red is bad. That's on social media. Red is evil, no color. Make this green. From water boy to All-American, build the mindset to overcome any obstacle. Here's where I help mentor and young guide men facing the life obstacles I went through on and off the court. Okay, so, all right. I feel like this happens a lot, but you've mixed the order of some things, and I think you probably need to move stuff around. So what I would do is kind of this section that I told you about, traditional kind of headline, CTA, YouTube comment. That's why I made this, because you guys need this stuff. Here's what we'll work on. Cool. Another CTA. I would go from that down to this section where it's like from All-American, from Waterboy to All-American, build the mindset to overcome. It's like you need to build the mindset to overcome any obstacle. Cut this section, go into here as like an explainer of the story. So most people wouldn't volunteer to be the water boy, especially not after getting cut from the team. But in 10th grade, that's exactly what I did. I didn't care about the teasing. I didn't care about the opinions. I just knew one thing. I loved the game. Basketball wasn't about recognition for me. It was about growth. Even when I wasn't on the court, I stayed close to the craft. And that mindset, it shaped everything. Because what I've learned and what I teach now is this. Your mindset is your greatest tool, not just in basketball, but in life. Everything you want to build, confidence, clarity, consistency, starts with how you think. Over the next few years, I went from barely playing JV to becoming varsity my senior year, to becoming an All-American, to playing professionally overseas. And none of it happened by accident. I didn't start with talent. I started with mindset. This is the same mindset that grew my YouTube channel that you watch to 30K plus viewers in 1.5 years, and to develop an online business that generates consistent income based on my knowledge and passion for the game of basketball and a mindset developed over years of struggle. Now I'm offering the same mindset tools and strategies that help me to achieve success both on and off the court to young men just like you. Because I believe every young man deserves the tools to unlock his potential, no matter where he's starting from. That's why I now help young men build the same mental discipline, focus, and self-leadership that changed my life, not just for the game, but for everything that comes after. That is kind of a repetition of this line up here. And so I would tweak this one a little bit. This is a really powerful line, and so I don't think you should lose that, but you don't want to repeat too much. So you're in the right place if you're a young man looking to build the mental discipline, confidence, and clarity to succeed in sports, in school and in life. I'll help you get there by teaching the same mindset tools and strategies that built me from water boy to All-American and being your guide and mentor along the way. And so I would definitely, this is great, by the way, like this section, super powerful, great narrative, compelling, especially for an audience that already knows him, like great stuff. And so I'd go from like that into this, like know your coach, like here's the credibility, here's why you should like listen to him. And then once you do that, go back to this stuff. So here's how it works. Here's what you'll gain, keep your CTAs, and then go back down to your frequently asked questions. I think you actually have everything here, but it's just kind of out of order, or maybe like design it a little bit differently. But this is really compelling stuff. And I think any YouTube creator would be happy to have something like this. So yeah, great stuff. And that is it for our critiques today. Thank you guys for joining. It's always like super fun to do these, and we had some really, really good copy today. And so I hope you guys learned a bit. I hope if you guys got critiques that they were helpful. But all in all, like just great time. If you would like to have your copy critique next time, and you did not have your copy critique this time, you can do that by going over to patreon.com/thecopythatshow and signing up. And if you do that, you'll get access to a ton of cool stuff like Discord channels and all that jazz. But also you will be able to submit your copy when we do these weekly, bi-weekly streams. And yeah, we'll see you next time on here. If you don't want to sign up, that's also absolutely okay. You get this for free anyway. So yeah, thanks guys. I will see you again soon. Peace.